Hey there guys, Elite Legionarii here, and today I've got a pretty cool 2v2. It was a good 2v2 game that myself and the Swedish Landsknecht did for Total War Rome 2 roughly a week ago, or maybe a wee bit more than that. It was a really good game, and we both played quite well, so it's a pretty interesting one in terms of micro. I thought we both did well there. I commanded Pontus, he took Bactria, opponents took Rome and Egypt, and there certainly was a really excellent game. I was rather pleased with my micro on this map battle, to be honest. Sometimes my micro is not always the best, but I just felt in this battle I was quite fast by my standards, which was, rather pleasing, to be honest. And both me and Swedes had, the battles kind of played out as two individual 1v1s, but we were in communication constantly, which enabled us to be ready to support each other if needed. And I kind of wanted to use this battle as a way to demonstrate the advantages of that in a team battle. Plus, it's been a while since I uploaded a 2v2 for Rome 2, and I figure you guys might enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed playing this one when I did it, so I definitely wanted to upload it. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and find it entertaining. I'll be kind of explaining lots of little tactical things and using all the arrow tricks you can do in Rome 2 to kind of show how I went about this battle. I think what I'll do is I'll actually focus on my battle, then I'll focus on Swedes, because they're probably going to miss bits and pieces of one another's fights. Sorry about that bit of lag then. Right, so yeah, I took Pontus, and my army consists of 6 units of Pontic swordsmen. As of the moment, I know there's a patch coming out soon that will change things, but at the moment swords are much easier to use than pikemen, so I didn't bring bronze shield pikemen, I brought the Pontic swordsmen, which are pretty cheap. I think I put some upgrades on them too, just to make them a little bit better. Then I bought 4 units of, they're up here, 4 units of Eastern Archers. These guys have got 150 range and 29 missile damage, so they're pretty useful. I brought 2 Horse Archers, which I'm bringing out the flank, and then I brought 2 Pontic Peltas and 6 Noble Blood Cav, which is the power of my army. These are fairly sturdy, pretty strong melee cavalry, and I've got plenty of them, so that's the strength of my army in conjunction with some support units, basically. If we have a look at Swede's army, he's pretty cav heavy too, but that's to be expected with Bactria. But Bactria is really the best faction in Rome 2 at the moment, really. It's just got it all. It's got very cav, it's got the swords, it's got pikes, it's got tons of missiles, horse archers, elephants, and it's all pretty cost effective as well, meaning it's very good faction to use. He's got, let's see, a Bactrian Royal Cav, 2 Bactrian Light Horse, and 2 Hellenic Cataphracts. For his Cav, don't think he had Horse Archers, no he didn't. As it turns out, I doubt that Swedes was aware of this because he doesn't play a lot of Rome 2. Actually no, he's got 2 Bactrian Royal Cav, 2 Bactrian Light Horse, and 2 Hellenic Cataphracts, my bad. But as I was saying, as it turns out with Rome 2, with Bactria, the melee Cav, at least as of the patch when we were playing this, are more useful than shock cav, and the Bactrian Noble Cav is like the most cost effective and useful kind of powerful melee cav to be used. And it's not the most powerful melee cav, but it's the most cost effective in terms of its power. It's very effective. It's actually overall more productive, I think, to bring more of that than it is the Cataphracts, but it's kind of hard to not choose Cataphracts because they're just so awesome. But I doubt Swedes was aware of that because he doesn't play a lot of Rome 2, and I only recently became aware of it myself. Anyway, he's got 4 Eastern Slingers. Again, when Swedes was playing Rome 2, it was back when Slingers were the only good, really good missile units to use. They're much better than Archers. Since then, Archers are on, Slingers are still good, there's no doubt, but Archers are definitely on par with them. But again, Swedes are probably just in the habit of how it was a few patches ago, because we sort of stopped playing it for a while. Then he's got Levy Pikemen. Levy Pikemen are really the only cost-effective pikes, because pikes are really weird and don't always work that well, or at least they weren't at this stage. So that's why he's got some nice cheap ones to act as a support and screening force, not really a power force. And he's got 3 Scale Thorax Hoplites. No, 2 Scale Thorax Hoplites and 2 Spears. So he's relying on his cavalry and his missiles, really, in his army, which is a pretty typical Bactrian thing. Our opponent's Egypt, directly opposite me. His army consists of a lot of thorax pikemen. Again, this is really cost inefficient because pikes are very difficult to use in Rome 2, or at least as I said at this stage of this patch. And they were very hard to be aggressive with. You've got to try and draw your opponent onto them, and a smart player just never goes onto the front of pikes, just go around them. And they're very difficult to micro and move around, and get them to respond to your commands, making them very difficult. They're very vulnerable to missiles. It's difficult at this stage to use them. Then he's got 4 mercenary Cretan archers, excellent archer unit, very destructive, very dangerous indeed. Then he's got 2 Egyptian pikemen on the flanks. If he was going to use pikes, he would have just been better to bring these guys so that he could spend more money on other units and just use them as a screening force, much in the same way Swedes is. And then he's got 2 Nubian spearmen on the flanks, and then he's got about 3 or 4 Galatian swordsmen. Now I'm going to be gunning for these guys with my cav, my melee cav, because I'll just absolutely tear them to bits. I'm going to try and get into them as much as I can in this fight. Then he's got an Egyptian infantry. Again, this is a very weak infantry, but it is, in a support role, it can be useful. Then he's got a Ptolemaic cavalry, a very good shock cavalry, and it's got much higher attack than other shock cavalry. So this is one of the better shock cavalry in the game, but it is fairly expensive. And I don't think he had much else. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just wait for this Roman army to reveal. And this Roman army is very small but very elite. He's got Eagle cohorts, Praetorian guards. Looks like he's got about 4 or 5 Eagle cohorts and 2 Praetorian guard, several velites and elephants. So it's very elite, very expensive, very powerful, very small. So it doesn't really have it will be pretty tricky to just take it out from the front, but it hasn't got a lot of missile support, it hasn't got a lot of cavalry support, so Swedes kind of draws this fight out. He can wear it down and then come in for an all-out blow, which is basically what I think he was going for. So anyway, it's going to begin. I'll show my fight first, then I'll focus on Swedes, I think. So here, I was trying to get his Cretan archers. Now what I should have done here, I made a mistake. What I should have done is actually advance up and get into range to occupy his guys here, because it's going to allow him to focus his missiles on my Scythian horse archers here. And what I should have really done is gone for to occupy his archers and then chip away at his flank, because that would have kind of allowed me to divide one of his archers' attentions and take them out easier, which was a bit of a mistake on my part. But we're going to get pretty aggressive. Now Swedes at the start asked, he'd forgotten to bring peltists, or archers, so he asked me if he could borrow some peltists. So I actually sent both my peltists, my Pontic peltists, because they got 40 missile damage. They'll do really good against these African. Oh, if I get these into these auxiliary African elephants, they'll be ripped up pretty quick. So over here I'm starting to get shot up. I'm trying to get into skirmish position, trying to take some of his Cretan archers or his pikemen out, but I should have pushed my archers up to cover my guys, which I'm doing now. I did make a little bit of an error here. I went a bit forward with my archers before bringing up my cav, so a quick cav strike from him, maybe, I probably would have had time to get my guys up. I got around to getting there pretty quickly to stop that, but could have been riskier had I not been a little bit more cautious. So I still make the odd error in Rome 2, to be honest. I don't play it enough, but I do very much enjoy it. But it also annoys the crap out of me just because my micro isn't that good. But if you look at the enemy team, I'm just going to slow it down and I'll show you their whole team there. Sorry about that. There. The whole team deployment is very box-like, as you can see, and they're going to play very defensively. So me and Swedes will probably end up trying to split them up or unhinge their flanks or something like that. So at the moment I was on heavy shot trying to get rid of these Egyptian pikemen, because I wasn't having any success against his archers. I asked Swedes if I could borrow some slingers here, because I wasn't sure if my eastern archers would be able to defeat his Cretans in a 1v1. I don't think they will. So I asked Swedes for some of his slingers, because as you can see this Roman player only has velites, and it means that Swedes is not going to need all his long range skirmishes really. So he gives me 2 of his eastern slingers. So even though in this fight me and Swedes kind of end up doing our fights in 2 individual 1v1s, we were always there in contact with one another to let each other know that we were ready to support or give units away if we needed to. So this is going to enable me to, with Swede support, to be able to at least even to defeat these Cretans, because I'm going to have a number advantage going on my side. So yeah, we started on these Cretan archers over here, and I'm going to push up here. Got to make sure my cav is up close enough to keep covering our missile units, because otherwise there's a bit of a danger. As you can see, he's going to try and make a quick strike there, and I have to quickly get my guys ready to respond. But what I want to do is lag. What I want to do is try and defeat his Cretans, and then I'll use my missile units to wear him down a bit and force him into attacking me, and then what I'm going to do is just try and go around him with infantry and use my cav and bits and pieces and missile units just to split him up as much as possible and fight him in little piecemeal engagements, because I can't go through this. My infantry's not really that strong, but my cavalry's pretty decent and I got lots of it. So as you can see, this is what I should have done at the start with my horse archers. I was able to turn this unit here, so that allows me to focus on its flank, you see. I should have moved up my horse archers to get it to start with my own archers to do that, and I didn't do that, and that kind of allowed me to be less effective against his Cretans. But with Swedes' support, the missile fight is pretty even. Swedes is getting pretty banged up, but he's got his Eastern Slingers have got a pretty sizable shield, which allows them to take a bit of a beating, and it allows my guys to fire uninterrupted. And as you can see, we are eventually wearing these Cretan archers down. I've got my horse archers out here. I probably should have gone to Cantabrian Circle, forgot about it. Actually no, this unit doesn't have Cantabrian Circle. Is it? Oh, it might do. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, if it did, I should have done it, and if it didn't, well, that's why I didn't do it. But anyway, yeah, with Swede support, I'm able to take this missile duel, and that's important because my missiles are much cheaper than his, which means I can therefore, if he loses his missiles, he loses a very important component in his army, and that's not good for him, because he's wanting to play defensively and he needs his missiles to kind of keep that defense going. So if I'm able to dismantle his defenses with his missile units, it gives me the edge to use my missiles to dictate his defenses and force him to react. So that's why I asked for Swedes to help me. As you can see though, I am getting the edge, more or less. He's losing, I mean, Cretans are pretty expensive. I think they're 600 each, whereas these guys are only like 250 or something. So he's losing a lot more denarii or drachmae or talents or whatever you want to call it, and he's losing a lot of it. So as you can see, this unit's starting to rout as well. So yeah, he's losing his Cretan archers, and like I said, he can't really afford to lose them. He needs them. So yeah, this is going to be good for me because it's going to allow me to just pick away at his pikemen and try and wear them down and try and force him to react, and then I can help work on splitting the Egyptian player up. If I can split the Egyptian player up, he'll be easy pickings, because his infantry, his sword infantry, Galatian swordsmen are certainly not bad, but if I'm able to open up their flanks or get into them with my heavy melee cavalry, he will not be able to, he won't be able to stop, they won't be able to beat me in that regard. So here we see some of these citizen cav coming forward to get some of Swede's guys here. It's going to cost Swedes his slings, but it's going to give me time to pull back. I'm going to force him back now. We're going to kind of do a bit of jockeying for, he's going to do a bit of jockeying to try and positioning here to get rid of my slingers, I mean my slingers, missile units basically. Here's Cretans came forward, they're probably just out of ammunition. And yeah, I'm just shooting them down. Then I decided to just come forward and kill them. As you can see, his citizen cav keeps trying to force me back here, and I eventually think, right, I've had enough of this, and I try and take matters into my own hands to make sure he can't do that because it's just delaying me. So yeah, I push forward here and quickly just get rid of those last few Cretan archers there before they can do anything to stop me. So yeah, I'm going to start pushing my eastern archers forward again. He's going to constantly keep doing this with his citizen cav, but I'm eventually going to make it so that he can't, because I don't want to be constantly distracted by this. I need to get my archers available to hit him up. So yeah, I'm going to push forward with my guys now, force him back and put the initiative into my hand, because I don't want him to constantly do that because I want to get my missiles into his pikemen. So I'm going for heavy shot now. Actually, can these guys get heavy shot? No, these guys can't get heavy shot, but I'm still going to start attacking some of his guys here with flaming arrows in a moment to lower their morale. As you can see, I'm just going to keep picking away at his Cretan archers here. These eastern archers, yeah, they're at ammunition, so that's why they're running forward like that. Yeah, a lot of positioning, just a little run forwards with cav and strikes against the enemy, which is fine at the moment. Not a lot going on, but it all gets pretty heat up pretty quickly once the engagement begins. So yeah, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start attacking his thorax pikemen, because these guys don't have heavy shot. That's probably why they're cheaper, but they do have flaming shot, which will lower the morale on these guys, which is good because once I'm going to go around them. Once I get around them, if they've got low morale, they'll rat quicker, and that's good. So I run my guys forward here. Let's watch this little archer duel. Actually, it's from the perspective of the Cretans, the little butter knives. We all remember the Cretans from Rome 1 with their epic sun hats and their big butcher's knives. Not quite the same here, but we get the point. But yeah, you can see I'm starting to flame these guys, lower their morale a little bit. Now what I should have really done is actually conserve my archers, I think, and brought them around to the flank when I began my engagement and got flank shots. I probably could have killed my opponent a wee bit quicker that way. So there's always things you can, do better when you're doing these things, I think. So you kind of want to observe your replays and stuff and how you do them, and even if you play good, there's still things you probably do better, and that was such the scenario with me. So now I'm going to start beginning my attack. I'm bringing 2 of my cav out here, and Swedes is going to move up on his end because I can't flank on this edge because the Romans would block me, but as you can see, the Egyptian player is clearly reacting, so I'm going to keep lowering the morale of these guys. Just keep up there doing that until I go for my attack. But I'm going to start bringing up my Pontic Peltus in a moment. I'm bringing the other one back that went over to help Swedes with the elephants. And fire arrows continue to come down and just continually lower the morale of my Egyptian opponent as much as possible. And I'm going to bring up my Peltus in a moment, and they are going to start shredding his guys here. So pikes are extremely vulnerable to Peltus, and the Pontic Peltus are some of the very best in the game in terms of damage. So let's look at these guys just getting shredded. Let's have a look as the javelins come in. Oh, they should come in a minute. Here we go. So yeah, as you can see, they're getting cut down massively, and basically what this is going to do is it's going to force my Egyptian player to react to me. And I'm also lowering the morale while I'm doing this as well with fire arrows to try and get them to react quickly. As you can see, they've already been ripped down to half their numbers. I don't have a whole lot of ammunition with these Pontic Peltus. Here come his citizen cav, but my guys are all sitting here braced, and I have some cavalry up here just intercept that. So he kind of charges straight into my infantry here, and then I'm going to counter him. And his citizen cav are much weaker than my noble blood cav, and they should get pretty easily destroyed. Now as you can see, I'm pushing around his flank, and I missed this actually, but I laid a quick charge down on these Galatian swordsmen. Look, it killed half of them in one charge. That's how good melee cav is. So here I see his Nubian spearmen. I'm going to avoid them, and I'm going to go in with this cav here and quickly finish this Galatian swordsman off. I call that a Galatian Royal Guard. I didn't mean to say that, I meant Galatian swordsman. But as you can see, it's already wavering. His Ptolemaic cav comes out. Down here, my noble blood cav chases citizen cav, but they're going towards his pike, so I'm going to pull back. And as you can see, I'm javelining these guys now. These guys are cut all the way down to 56. These guys down to the 90s now. And I've managed to destroy this unit of Galatian swordsmen just with a couple of quick strikes from my noble blood cav. So that gives you an idea just how good noble blood cav and other melee type cav are against sword units like that, which is where I have a nice advantage. So if I'm going to try and weaken this area here, thin him out as much as possible, and as you can see, he knows this is not going for him, so it's going to force him to attack, which is this is where it comes to my part where I can break him up. So what I'm going to try and do is I'll try and send some guys over here, some guys here, some guys here, some guys here, and just chip around him and basically split him up as much as I can. So as you can see, I'm going to start pulling back while he runs in. His Ptolemaic cav is a dangerous unit. I have to be very careful here. My Pontic Peltus, I decided to turn it around. They've expended their ammunition. I'm going to use it to try and keep him, kind of occupy him in the centre. And as you see, I'm sending my heavy cav around, and I'm looking for opportunities to, let me just go to slow-mo here. I'm looking for opportunities to find gaps and openings. Here's one here. I send my cav in to come down around here, and I'm also coming around the back here as well, and his cav's up the front here. So if we go back to normal speed, here's a unit of his phalanx, which I'm going to hit from the back. So let's have a good look at this. And it's only an Egyptian one, which is a pretty weak quality one, and this charge starts dropping it down immediately. As you can see, it's already way down, and it's starting to waver just like that. In the back here, here's his Galatian swordsman, completely open, his Egyptian infantry, all of this open to my noble blood cav. I move in, as you can see, it immediately starts to rout pretty quickly. He starts trying to pull in on it. I bring in some of his Nubian spearmen coming in rather, but I use this opportunity to hit his flanks up with my Pontus swordsman. And now I'm going to try and find my way around the flanks here, or into these gaps like this with my swordsman. I'm bringing my other cav around to support this section of the fight, and I'm just going to keep niggling at him. As you can see, he's lost all cohesion in his army, and he's lost a lot of order. I have got a bit snagged on his pikes here, which I don't want, but I use this opportunity to try and hit the flanks of these guys, and I get into his swordsman again, although his Ptolemaic cav is here, so I do need to be a bit careful. But as you can see, I am managing to rout some more of his swordsmen and spears here because I've got him outflanked. Over here, I'm now behind these noble blood, these pikemen, so I can now bring in my swords to start pinning these thorax pikemen down. And as you can see, he's constantly reacting. Here he gets a bit of a charge on me with his Ptolemaic cav, but he doesn't get the shock charge down. Over here, my Pontic pelters were on the front of his pikes. I was trying to occupy his pike with some crappier, or my depleted missile units, so I could outflank him. Here, as you can see, I get his Galatian swordsman again, and over here I get more of his Galatian swordsman with my noble blood cavalry. And these guys here, while they're pinned on the front, which isn't great for them, but I am outflanking them over here. Again, I get these guys to come around like so, and I've basically been able to tear up the Egyptian player, and I'm wearing him down with my noble blood cav and pinning him with my swords and just looking for openings. He starts routing one of my noble blood cav, but now I've got two fresh ones coming in, and I'm trying to get his guys while they're still reordering themselves. And I come in here, catch his guys out. His pikes are not down, but I recognise there's an opportunity that they probably will get down. Here I see an opportunity. I can capture all his units in a vice. So I'm going to try and pour in from here and here, and use my cav to support this as much as I can. I get into more of his Galatian swordsmen, and these Galatian swordsmen just can't deal with these cavalry on their own. They need support. And I'm coming in from the back over here. He actually does rout this unit here because I didn't get enough units to quickly support it. But as you can see, his army's kind of spread out, and everywhere he's trying to go, I'm just always outflanking him and always moving around him all the time. So as you can see, his units are always pinned on something but outflanked by something else. And the same thing's going on here with these Pontic swordsmen, and I constantly keep getting into the backs of his men. And I'm pumping my general's abilities here just to kind of finish them off at the end. And I've got his pikemen outflanked here, and this is the thing with pikes, they're so hard to use in Rome too. They're so hard to kind of maneuver and coordinate, and this is what's causing me to get around this Egyptian player so easily. And I'm able to pour in here with my Pontic swordsman and steadily wear him down. At this stage he knows he's beat, so he's going over to he's sending his general Ptolemaic cav to come and help the Swedes. Swedes has got this Eagle cohort completely, absolutely overwhelmed by numbers here. But the two Praetorian Guard are holding up Swedes pretty well here. So I decide to go and help that section of the fight because I can tell the Swedes will be okay over here. For the most part, Swedes should be fine. So I decided to just go for these guys, and I just say to the Swedes, you come in that way, I'll come in that way, and we'll sandwich them. Initially I thought about going after this Ptolemaic cav, but I've got plenty of infantry here, so I can bring that in to help Swedes if he needs it. So let's get rid of these Praetorian Guard. So Swedes is going to come in with his Bactrian light horse. They won't be that effective against it obviously, but he's going to get sandwiched now, and they're quite heavily isolated, and we just sandwich these Praetorians between our cav. And again, my noble blood cav are absolutely excellent for fighting against heavy infantry in these kind of melee scenarios. Although really elite ones like Praetorian Guard that ordinarily lose, but there's overwhelming numbers here and a surround, and we both decide to just pull out and repeat the charge again, wearing them down. As you can see, Swede's pikes are quickly doing a fair amount of damage, although he is having a wee bit of trouble coordinating them because pikes are very tricky to use. Here we see this Ptolemaic cav. I'm going to just finish it off at last. It should put an end to it. And over here we're going to repeat the charge on these Praetorians now, which are not very effectively braced, so therefore it's going to be a pretty thunderous hit from my guys here, and he gets immediate rout, and Swedes will finish things off from his side with his heavy shock cavalry. Although I think, yeah, I've already got him wavering, and then bam, Swedes comes in from the other side, and that is going to put an end to these Praetorian guard. And that is basically it. However, what I want to do now is I want to show you Swede's fight. So I'll be back in one moment with his side of the fight. Okay guys, we've just swapped over to the earlier stages of the fight, and this was on Swede's side. So he brought the remainder of his slings, because remember he sent 2 over to assist me, but he brought 3 of his slingers here, and he's just starting to attack these Velites. Now units like Velites, Pontus are usually better than Velites at this, but they've got pretty good shield value against sling fire, so they can take quite a bit of damage. Because as you saw, he didn't take a lot of damage when he was approaching, but because he turned his back here, his units took quite a few hits. Here we can see that these African elephants are now charging at Swedes' slingers here. Now Swedes is going just to start pumping them full of sling fire. Slings are not that effective against elephants, although they certainly will lower the hit points quite a significant bit. He also used the charge bonus, which he's more or less wasted. So what Swedes is actually going to do is he'll probably go like 1 unit like this, 1 unit like this, and 1 unit like this, so no matter what one the elephant decides to chase, another one will always be hitting its flank, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, Swedes is actually doing that now. Then he's going to withdraw his cav, because he doesn't want to get his cav snagged up on these elephants, and then he basically asked me to send one of my pelters in to help finish it off. But as you can see, these 2 units out here are now going to get these elephants and further diminish their hit points. Actually, I'm just going to turn that music down. That feels really, really loud. I don't know if it is, but it just seems like it is here. I don't know if it actually is. It just seems like I'm having to talk really loud to hear myself. But anyway, as you can see, he's shooting him in the flank there, and this elephant does catch one of these slingers, but it's lost a lot of hit points in getting here, and it's gotten itself tired. And this is why he should have reserved his elephants, really. He could have used his elephants to assist in taking out the Bactrian infantry really rapidly, so then he could turn all his elite infantry, his elite infantry to face the cavalry in support of whatever elephants he had left. But this is really wasteful. Sending elephants off on their own unsupported is usually very stupid, in my opinion. Not that I'm calling this person stupid, I just mean it's a stupid tactic, because it's foolish, because it isolates a very powerful unit and they get destroyed. So here I start putting javelin fire down. So let's just see how long these guys survive. Look at that, they'll just die instantly. It's how low their hit points were and how high the missile damage my pelters have. So there he wastes a very expensive, useful unit. And I'm not trying to be mean to my opponent. If it sounds like I am, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I apologise if it sounds that way. Stupid wasn't the right word to use, actually. I just meant foolish, really, because he's just wasted a very useful unit, which could have been of much use to him. And all he really got for it was a slinger unit that he weakened by about 40 men. So not a good trade-off there at all. And because the Roman army is so heavily made up of high expensive units, it basically means that he can't really afford to lose any of it prematurely, or basically he risks diminishing his power too much. He needs to make sure these units are tight together and in support of each other quickly, because Swedes has got more available tools to work with. So Swedes is going to send his cav around here. He's probably going to have his missiles along here and his infantry along here. That's basically what he's doing. So if we have a look at the tactical map, you can see that Swedes is now creating quite a large sort of outflanking procedure. But anyway, as you can see, he's going to shoot these guys here. Now he's going to fall in, this guy's going to fall in here to guard his flanks, but he needs to be careful he doesn't turn his flanks of his infantry to these missile units, because then they become exposed. Now really he needs to quickly deal with Swedes, because he doesn't want to let himself just take too many hits, but at the same time if he rushes he's going to be isolated on his own, so he's really in a pretty bad situation. That's mostly in part because his army build is just not a very efficient one, and he's giving all his advantages to Swedes. Bactria is probably the best faction in Rome too, to be honest, so you should very much prepare for it. Here he exposes Velites, and Swede sends in his Bactrian light horse, and he's going to quickly mow them down pretty quickly. So it's good spotting by Swedes there. But this opponent really isn't. His army, he's reacting to Swedes basically. He's doing everything Swedes wants him to do, and that is exactly what he shouldn't do. So over here, Swedes tries shooting some of these Praetorian Guard, but on the front, that's going to do no damage at all. Big shields, lots of armor value. And then he goes into Testudo, and he really doesn't need to go into Testudo, because that could be a danger to these cavalry if they made a quick strike. He really didn't need to go to Testudo like this, but he does, and that's not really that ideal. He's also, this unit here, this flank here is actually open. So Swedes, he starts moving units around out here on this flank, and I don't really know why. Like, he keeps turning their flanks and opening flank shots to Swedes. Here Swedes is just mopping up these last Velites, because they could be risky to his pikemen. If they rip a hole in his pikemen and his infantry pour through the hole, that Bactrian infantry will collapse very quickly. The Swedes does need to kill the Velites, and if he does that, there's very little that Swedes needs to fear. So here we see he starts running his eagle cohort around a bit. I don't know why he didn't just leave it standing still. He's going to try and form Testudo here, but he then stops and then keeps running, and he's just constantly turning his flank to Swedes' missile fire. And to be honest, I don't understand why, because when you turn your flank like that, it basically bypasses your shield value. And it's done that in every Total War game since Rome. And look, as you can see, he's doing it to face this cavalry over here. But he's in a situation where he either has to attack or he's going to get worn down by missiles. And again, this is because he hasn't bought a very well-rounded army. And look, as you can see, he's formed himself up like this, but his flank's completely exposed. So Swedes is going to tear through this eagle cohort, and he's losing a very valuable infantry, and he cannot afford this. Because he needs all his infantry in good tack. What I would do if I were him, I would, he's got, I mean, you can see he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 infantry. I'd probably create a row of 5 infantry on the front and use my Velites, and I'd rush through the and attack the pikes, breach a hole and flank them and destroy them. That would be pretty easily. And then I'd use the remaining 4 infantry to create a secondary line that would work to block out the cavalry long enough for him to destroy the infantry, but he doesn't do this. He just sits here defending and reacting and basically turning his flanks like he is here as he tries running away. Swede sees an opening again with his light cav, and he goes and he loses his critically useful Velites in a very very inefficient sort of way. And basically he's spending his entire time just reacting to every single thing that Swedes is enforcing on him, and you don't want to do this because it just means that you're giving up initiative. If you guys can hear a loud noise outside, that is because there are people outside working in the street, so I do apologise for that. That is very annoying, but not much I can do about it. Anyway, at this stage, again, the Roman player just keeps on falling in, and Swedes continues to just shoot up his flank with these slingers, and he's basically killed an entire eagle cohort because he should have left it still like he did with this other Praetorian Guard. He would have been fine. He just totally and utterly wasted it because he wanted to keep it still. I don't really know what he was thinking. I'm pretty sure he's a new player, but even so, I don't know what his thinking was there. Anyway, Swede sees yet another opportunity. Again, I don't know why he didn't just create a secondary line. He could have had 4 or 5 infantry over here and then another line here with his Velites in the middle. And he could have rushed that way, and he could have still protected his back lines and used the Velites to crush some holes in these levy pikemen and rip them apart with his very good Roman infantry. He sat there too long and too still. And both players on the enemy team did this. They reacted to all the manoeuvres that me and Swedes forced on them, and it's just not a good thing. If you're going to play defensively, that's fine, but you need to make sure that you're enforcing your defensive will on the battlefield and not just copying all the moves your opponents are putting on you, because then you're just doing what they want. So here Swedes gets the rest of his Velites, and he's going to rush forward here, and he's going to rush straight into the front of pikemen. Again, you don't want to do this. What he should be doing is coming around and hitting on the flank. He could have used, if he'd protected his Velites, he could have used them to rip holes in there and then break through and encircle the rest of them, but he just doesn't do any of this. He clumps all his men up. Look at this. Here's an opportunity where he's got numbers. He's used all 3 of his guys onto the front here. He could have sent 1 around, and those levy pikemen would just die instantly if they were outflanked. And in this way, Swedes has been able to catch his Praetorian Guard here in the back, so he's kept the most elite infantry out. And Swedes is just going to end up surrounding those and just repeating charges on them. And now Swedes is going to be able to use his missiles to hit the flank here or support this fight here. So, as you can see, he didn't disperse his attack, and now he's allowed himself to get hammered and anviled by these Hellenic cataphracts, which is causing routes in his eagle cohorts. The general's bodyguard units under attack by these Bactrian light horse. He does boost his guys' morale here. And then, as you can see, Swedes has already crushed the side, and he's going to roll up. So I think this Roman player was very new, didn't really know what he was doing, because he just made a lot of errors here. So here's a nice charge in for these cataphracts, to these Praetorians, but the Praetorians were braced against that, so that won't do really much damage at all. So Swedes would be wise to get out of this, because he doesn't want to waste his shock cav, because shock cav is really only good for its charge. But he's going to come in from multiple angles here, and this time his units are not as well braced, and they're a bit outflanked. Up here, as you can see, this eagle cohort actually got round the pike's flanks, and look at it, it just starts racking up the kills. And as you can see, Swedes is trying to coordinate his pikes. Pikes are hard to coordinate. They're very hard to coordinate, or at least as of the patch that we were doing this on, which was patch 14, I think. And as you can see, where Swedes has been able to get around the pikemen, look at these guys, they're racking up kills. In just less than a minute they've already got like up to 100 kills. So I mean, if he'd just done this in the first place, that infantry would have got quickly destroyed. Over here the Praetorian Guard, they're getting high kills just because they're Praetorian Guard, and so they should because of how much they cost, but he's totally and utterly surrounded, and his best units are being isolated from his main group, and that didn't turn out very well for him either. So, again, let's have a look at this eagle cohort over here. Look at 142 kills, and I left it just a few moments ago at like 90, so it really did rack up massive kills once it got to the flank. So had he just done this with more of his infantry, I guarantee all of this Bactrian infantry would have died very quickly. His biggest concern was the cataphracts and the Royal Cav. And the slings, really. That Bactrian infantry is really nothing. That's why he could have probably sent about 4 units to face the infantry, was supported by his Velites earlier on, and then just used the rest of his infantry to stop the cavalry. And I think he could have actually beaten Swedes that way. Would have been difficult, and then I would have been freed up to come and help Swedes anyway. But the point is, he didn't use his tools very well in this fight, to be honest. And we all make mistakes for sure, but I thought a lot of his mistakes were very sort of obvious ones. So it tells me he's a newer player, and that's fine. If he's a newer player, it's understandable. Newer players are inclined to make those kind of mistakes. I mean, I made quite a few mistakes when I was new to Total War. But as you can see, you already saw this part where I just attacked, we sandwiched these Praetorian Guard, and we're going to finish them off. But yeah, let's actually look at that cinematically. So yeah, I was just thinking though, like, I find a lot of newer players today, when I kind of started playing Total War a few years ago, I felt newer players were more adaptable. They seemed to pick it up better, but today a lot of them, I don't know, maybe it's just what I've encountered in the last few months or so, but they don't seem to kind of grasp a lot of tactics very quickly, a lot of very simple stuff. I'm not generalising all newer players here, because I've certainly encountered some very talented new players who very rapidly get the gist of these total war games and get good at them pretty quickly, but other ones I encounter, they just don't seem to, even the most rudimentary things, they don't seem to understand. So I kind of wanted to point out in this video just some of the things that this Roman player made as a mistake in this particular part with Swede's fight, because I felt that fight was probably what really turned it for us, because my player reacted mostly to what I was doing, but he still tried to be proactive there. He was defensive, but he tried using his cavalry to get my missiles. He tried doing other bits and pieces, but overall, as a whole, their team was very defensive, and there's nothing wrong with defense, but you don't want to be reacting to all the moves that the other team's putting on you. And basically, me and Swedes put all the moves on them, and they just copied us all the way through, and the result was very, very one-sided battle. I felt it says a Pyrrhic victory, but to be honest, I thought we pretty much owned that fight the entire way through. I had nearly 2,000 kills, well, that's probably because my opponent's army was really big. So I mean, my noble blood cav did a lot in this fight. They were the killing power in my army, and my archers did very well as well, though. They're a lot cheaper than the archers of the Egyptian player, but I had good support from Swedes there. And again, I made some breaches and thinned out his ranks with these Pontus and got those elephants out. And then again, the Pontic swordsman, which is only really a middle road swordsman, it's pretty effective, but once I got it around those flanks and didn't go into the front of those pikes, looked for areas to outflank and encircle, I quickly racked up the kills pretty fast with them as well. 341 for this noble blood cav, so it did very well. If we look at Swedes, again, look at his infantry. Only one of his pikes, a couple of his pikes did okay, most likely because the enemy infantry ran straight into the front of them. But again, it's all in the cav really, and the missiles, he did very well with those. Again, the Roman player kept turning his flank to Swedes, and Swedes just keep getting tons of kills off it. So you don't want to do that constantly like that. But as you can see, it's all actually dispersed pretty evenly amongst Swedes' kills. If we look at the Roman player here, look at that eagle cohort that actually got around Swedes' flank. Look at the kills, 253 kills. Imagine if he'd outflanked sooner. He could have absolutely ripped Swedes' infantry to shreds. I mean, even these Praetorian guards, they were in a crap position the entire fight, and they still got 150 kills each. But then again, so they should. They're very expensive, and they should. He didn't use his Evalites, he didn't protect them, so they got killed. And if he'd had them, he could have ripped up these pikemen, and then this eagle cohort would have torn the infantry apart in seconds, I would have guessed, and then he could have used his infantry to stop all the shock cavalry, and I think he would have had success in doing that. But he just didn't bring his tools together very well, and he kind of lost that elephant very early. So I kind of think the Roman player was a new player. Nothing against it or anything, I'm just saying, I just wanted to point these things out in the video. And then of course the Egyptian player, I mean the Ptolemaic cav, he did very well with that, but he reacted mostly to what I was doing. A few of his archers got a few kills, but his sword infantry just was too open to my noble blood cav, which destroyed him quickly, and his pikes, I went around them, so he couldn't kind of use them. Pikes are very difficult to use. I usually limit their use, but I think this new patch will actually alter it, more or less. But anyway, sorry for this long-winded video, guys, but I wanted to show Swedes' fight as well, my own, seeing as we kind of fought on two very different ends of the battlefield. So I'll link Swedes' channel, be sure to check him out, I'm sure you'd appreciate that. So thanks for watching, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon next time.